What's going on, folks? I'm just here today to do a review on two work boots. I'm getting into the occupational health and safety profession, and I've got an internship coming up, and I needed to get some safety-toed boots that have met guard, and so I've been doing quite a bit of research, and from what I've seen, it looks like both Red Wing, as you can see here, and Justin, as you can see here, are two reputable brands. They both have a lot of similarities as far as these two boots go, but I just wanted to do a little bit of a comparison and contrast between the two so that anybody else who might be in a similar situation as I am can have a heads up. I didn't see anything out there in the YouTube world about either of these boots, and certainly not a comparison of them. So the first pair of boots I bought were these Red Wings that you can see here on the right. I originally was going to get the Red Wing True Welt. They're a 10-inch boot. They're really well made. They've got a Goodyear welt. They've also got a protective cover on the cap and heel, and I thought that that would be a really durable option. They had a Vibram sole. They're 10 inches tall, waterproof, had good reviews. So I went over to my local Red Wing shoes and was told that those aren't going to be manufactured anymore, at least not in 2022, of course. So when I was there, I saw these. These are the SuperSoles. They are the lace version, obviously, size 9D. When I put them on initially, I was not super impressed. They seemed really stiff, but I thought, oh well, duh, like they're a leather boot. I've never been on a human's foot before, so of course they're going to probably take a bit of time to get used to. So I walked around the store a little bit and decided, this is actually a decent boot. This is the thing that disappoints me though, it almost cost as much as the True Welt, the one that is like featureful and was what I really wanted. This was actually, I think, $5 cheaper, which, yeah, like it is not the same boot at all, unfortunately. But because of limited supply, I thought, I'll just get them right now and I'll compare it to a different boot, which you can see is the Justin Pully there on the left. But picked them up. I've been wearing them actually the past week or so just around the house, and they've become pretty comfortable. And I think like the comfort is not the issue for me. Rather, and I'll show you here in a second, it's the quality, especially for what I paid for them. So these Red Wings, I think with tax, they ended up being around like $270 or something, which I thought was really steep. Especially, like I said, the True Welt, these decked out, super good boots, would have cost me almost the same. And so I was a little disillusioned by the price for the quality. I will say, though, they are American-made of import materials, and so that's a plus, support American work. I'm fully on board with that. But like, just because it's American made doesn't mean that the quality is any better in materials, right? Like, you can see that the sole, it's not actually sewn on the welt, it's just a glue, which is a little bit of a disappointment. The sole is not Vibram, which I'm a huge fan of Vibram, just because I've had many pairs of boots and shoes that have Vibram soles, and they just last a lot longer than shoes or boots I've had, particularly hiking boots, than boots without, a Vibram sole. So that was one thing about the Red Wings that was a little disappointing. So I picked up these Justin work boots. They're the Justin Pully. The SKU is WK630, and they check a lot of boxes. They've got a composite toe, which I prefer over steel toe for my research, just because they are a little warmer, so they can be used in multiple seasons. Also, they have Met Guard, but they have this impact absorbing foam that's used for the metatarsal guard, as where with the Red Wing, there's no real specification as to what materials used. And so, in my opinion, it's pretty cool to know that they've actually thought about their Met Guard and what they want it to do for the user, right? They're both waterproof. They're both 8-inch boots. They both have, a very similar look. I will say the Red Wing I like a little more as far as the overall size. It's not as bulky, but, it's neither here nor there, because at the end of the day, it's about a durable boot that's going to protect my foot, right? So the other thing with the Justin is it comes with a Vibram Montana sole. Let me take a look here. So this sole is way more robust in comparison to the Red Wing SuperSole. I don't know much about Red Wing's manufacturing process of their soles, but you can kind of see here, again, this is that welt that I was talking about. It's just glue. There's no actual stitching, which is disappointing. I mean, it doesn't look horrible, but it's just, I would imagine, not as durable. The other thing with the Justin boot that I liked was that, I don't know, it's a little thing, but you can see that it has an actual pass-through eyelet right here, not just a hook that allows you to put the lace up here, so it kind of keeps it cinched tighter. It's easier to cinch, as where with the Red Wing, it's just got the hook And so it was really hard to cinch. That was another thing I wanted to say about these shoelaces on here. It was like using a saw cord on my fingers. It just hurts. Like, I'm no doubt these would last quite a while, because these ones have a casing on them, and so it's already just tying it, you know, it kind of bunches at the end. You can see maybe here it gets a little bunched up, and that's okay. It's just shoelaces, right? It also was a little bit of a hassle since it's such a thin lace. I didn't really have any bite into these eyelets, and so really had to crank them and then apply pressure to get it to stay so it actually cinched correctly down here through the metatarsals, and then I could get it around this hook and lock in my ankle. So actually something I was pretty surprised about. The insoles on the Red Wing are far superior than the Justin insoles. You can see this red is actually plastic, so it's got a lot of, as it says here, arch support. And I like that because I've got high arches, and so I could really feel the difference. And like I said, I've been wearing these the past week, and that's very noticeable. As we're with the Justin, it's just kind of a run-of-the-mill EVA foam. Didn't really seem like it's anything special, and that was very noticeable when I put my foot right into the boot, and it just felt like I wasn't stepping on something that has much support. As for this has a shock absorption in the heel, which is definitely noticeable. Though I do want to say that when I initially put the boots on at the Red Wing store, it was like surprising how stiff they were, and I saw that they had other insoles, and so I tried one, like their top-of-the-line anti-fatigue one, in these boots, and that made a huge difference. So when I take these back to the Red Wing store, I'm probably going to pick up a pair of those insoles and throw them into these, because I definitely would take comfort where it's going to be a 8 to 12 hour shift every day. I want that anti-fatigue. I'm going to be on my feet talking to people and observing people, sampling, those sorts of things. So having that support is going to be really important over just whatever material that is. But when you look at these materials on the inside, so you can see here, this is the US made of imported materials, but this is all, I like that it has a padded collar. That's really nice. But where you put your foot in, it's all the same material, and it's not the most robust. You can see that it's maybe I can't see, but it's pretty much the same material throughout the whole boot. The one thing that was a major letdown for me was that this heel cup here in the back, it's just this material. Like it's not even like a more, I would imagine it would be something that's a little tougher or separate material, something that's going to be a little more abrasion resistance, especially since your heel usually just has a little bit of slop in it. But that's where I'm grateful that these Justin boots, you can see here the material just to contrast it. So it's a padded collar. It's obviously not soft touch material per se. It's not that sort of mesh that the Red Wings have, but then you get right into kind of that area that's on your ankle, and it's like a mesh fabric. I think it does a really good job of wicking, is what I imagine. And on these you can kind of see, maybe not super well, but the heel cup is actually, it feels like leather, or at the very least it's something that is going to be much more abrasion resistant. You can see it kind of down there. So I thought that it was a very smart touch. You can again see here, made in China. And I'll say, as far as the quality goes, I pick up this boot, and if you told me it's made in America, I'd believe you. This one told me it's made in China, I believe you. I suspect that in large part because it was made of imported materials. Also, who knows what kind of craftsmanship they're focusing on with this particular pair of boots, but it's going to be different. So I wouldn't say that just because they're made in China, they weren't held up to US standards, right? And quality. So you can see again, here's the comp toe, net guard, waterproof. There's that Justin symbol. I'm interested why they have this pass-through eyelet at the top of the boot instead of a hook. I'm gonna dink around with it, see if I can figure out if it makes cinching it up easier. Or these are Red Wings up close, so yeah, Met guard, got your Red Wing logo there. So another nice touch on these Justin boots that I liked over the Red Wing is that the sole, the toe of the sole, is actually stitched. You can see, and it goes through the midsole and the welt. And so I'm sure that kicking stuff all the time leads to separation of that welt, midsole, and outsole. And so that hopefully would help it so it doesn't end up even cracking the way it might without that stitch through there. It doesn't have anything like that here on the Red Wing. Also, that sole, it's just the tread depth is not very impressive. I just imagine, even after a few months of trudging around in these, it'll just be bald at the very least. And something else that these Justin boots included that I liked was has a kill tie. So from what I gather, this piece of leather is supposed to be kind of interwoven between the laces underneath them on the tongue, so that these laces, when they get mud, gook, and grit and stuff, they're not sawing that leather as you're walking, but rather it's chewing into this. And this obviously can be replaced easily, as where, you know, that's a new boot if you blow that material on the tongue. The other thing I think that the Red Wing was missing that I didn't mention earlier was these pull tabs here are obviously fabric, which isn't a huge thing. On the Justin boot, they're full grain leather, so pulling this every day, or if you're hanging your boots out to dry or something like that, I imagine eventually this webbing material will give out. Not to knock the Red Wing boot altogether. I think it's probably a great boot. It's super popular. It's been around for many years. People swear by them. But as far as I said, you know, like I said, the price to the quality, yeah, no way. Like I'd definitely take these Justin boots over the Red Wing boots, just because they cost about the same and the quality just seems to be way better. So that's my review on these boots. If you have any questions, just please leave it in the comments. I can give you any other details you want. I mean, that's the point of the channel, right? Getting those dirty deets about these products. So thanks, guys.